Well, maybe to correct already, hydrogen is not an energy source, it's an energy carrier. So we need hydrogen basically to transport energy from A to B, or to use it for something else that we now use fossil fuels for. And so you have hydrogen that can be produced from, for example, renewable electricity, and then you use an electrolyzer to split a water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, and then the hydrogen can be used in all kinds of applications. We really need it because it's a very flexible molecule, and it is now also already being used in a lot of applications, like, for example, fertilizer production, chemical production, and it can also be used in steel and cement. And those are also the applications that are very hard to abate if you want to decarbonize them. So using, for example, switching them to electricity, for some of these things impossible. But in case of hydrogen, you can replace the natural gas or the fossil fuel that they're using right now with renewable hydrogen, green hydrogen, and then you decarbonize that industry. Plus there are some other things you can use hydrogen for, like heavy transport and mobility, but it will probably be mostly the heavy industry that can benefit from hydrogen. Well, I think it's a little bit similar to renewable energy in general. Of course, we have a very large oil and gas industry where people have been working for a long time, so develop skills that are specific for that industry. When you go to renewables, but also to hydrogen, hydrogen is a bit closer to whatever we are doing right now, because it's a chemical, it's a molecule, it can be transported and stored in not the same way, but in similar ways as natural gas, for example. So it's slightly different than that. But you need to be able to, adapt to that situation. So for example, fuel cell manufacturers or electrolyzer manufacturers, things like that, how to handle hydrogen safely, how to transport it, how to store it, how to produce it at scale. Those kind of skills are not available with a lot of people because it's a very new industry. They can be taken from the basic skills that people have developed in, for example, oil and gas industry, but you need to be able to adapt them and adjust them a little bit to whatever is required for hydrogen. And I think that there is the skill gap for the most part. So it's not completely new education that you require, but it is something that you need to be specifically on hydrogen safety, on hydrogen handling, on things like that. So specific to the molecule of hydrogen and to the use cases of hydrogen, which do not exist at the moment. And it's important because otherwise we're not able to grow this industry. We had the same problem with renewables in general, where people are not available to install, for example, solar panels on the roofs or install large-scale wind parks. We will have the same problem for hydrogen when we are applying it at scale, because these people are not qualified and do not exist in qualifications to start working on that. And that's what we need to address. Impact Hydrogen is a startup that we are working on setting up all kinds of hydrogen value chains across the world. So we try to organize the whole value chain from production to transport, storage to end users. And when we were doing that, we found out that there's also a skill gap. So people are interested in how to set up this whole value chain, but then the next question is, where are we going to get the people to actually do this? So what we are doing is we're setting up, for example, a hydrogen learning platform, which is an online, easy-to-use platform where people can get the first information on hydrogen, but also can be more in detail about different aspects of that. So for example, if you're an engineer working already in a company, you can get some education from us, from this learning platform, in your own time, in your own situation. And that can help you then to progress from whatever you're doing now towards the new hydrogen economy. And we're also using artificial intelligence and virtual reality to make it more interesting for people, to make it more practical, so that people can also see and understand what would be the hydrogen economy look like and what would be your job inside the hydrogen economy, which is important because it's not there yet. I think that of course, I think young people in general are very much motivated by the fact that you need to do this to avoid catastrophic climate change. I also feel that urge to work in that sense. So I think the intrinsic motivation is already there. But it's also just an emerging technology. It's an emerging economy. So it's completely new. There's still lots to discover. There's still lots to learn. It's easier to be an entrepreneur in that field than it is for something that's already established. So I think that is one of the main things. The challenges are enormous and the opportunities are also very big. So if you're starting out your career right now, going into renewables, going into hydrogen, fixing these raw material deficiencies wherever they are, I think that creates a lot of opportunity for you to really take part in the energy transition and to make a difference.